If we can do it, anyone can do it. We both come from humble beginnings.
The financial gain out of it, I really just like the art of the deal.
We don't got no work-life balance. We grind it.
Yep. They got big goals.
You know? They got big goals, inspiration. All right, welcome back. This is Deron Bethay with the DB Business and Real Estate Podcast. I got my man Vince and my partner. Welcome. Let's get it. A lot of stuff to discuss. You know, the market has changed. Not only just the market has changed, but we also have looking to change how we are structuring our entire company with multifamily office. A lot of people don't know what a multifamily office is. So I think, just jumping in there and just talking about multifamily, why that's important to get one of those started. So, we decided, together, a multifamily office is when 1, 2, 3, 4 different families these high net worth families come together and share resources. That's pretty much what it is, right? So we decided to take Bands Brothers Investment Group, your company, to include Tri-City, and merge them together to help share some resources like CFO, and also inside of that family office, there's different branches that we discussed, like wealth management. We got wealth management. You got the business side. You have also to ensure that your trust and all those things like that is good. But what are some of the things that when we talk about MFO, all right, doing a multifamily office that really gets you excited?
When we did that tour over at Morgan Stanley and Chase Private Banking and all the things, like what really stood out to me that I'm excited for, like, yeah, we can get these resources and stuff like that individually, but me and you have never been there. Right. we don't know what that family office life is like. So what really excited me is like you're gonna have like handhold, like the training wheels are on. They're not gonna let us fail at this because this is all they do. They've been doing it for 100 years. And to have a team of people dedicated to like that preservation of capital and education, that was a big thing I liked about it, is like the education piece for your family and everything like that, to make sure that they understand, how, preserve capital and make good financial decisions for the family and things like that. I was really excited about that, but, mostly like they're not just there for fees and everything like that. Like they're there to like make sure that your wealth and your family is preserved for 100 years, 200 years.
Right, and there's and a lot of people that's probably watching this are like, multifamily. They probably heard of it or they have not heard of it. You got the family office, then you got the multifamily office, and one of the things that if you're watching this is that most family office have had some type of liquidity event, like a major liquidity event, and that liquidity event could have been, a sale or an exit. And what we're doing is we're like first generation. We the first generation, you and I, that are generation one. We know that generation one creates the wealth. Generation two preserve it, and they say generation three, what they do? They blow it, right?
They spend it.
They spend it all. So we're putting things in place now so that this wealth that we're building can grow for many, many, many years to come. And what we're doing is you have your business and then I have my business, but we join to the hilt when it comes to multifamily. So a lot of people probably seen us around, like, okay, trying to understand the dynamic. Well, over here we do franchises. I focus on growing, scaling franchises and businesses. And on your side of the house, what you got going.
The home service companies.
The home service companies and things like that. And we're one of the things that we've been able to one of the resources, that went up. One of the resources, like having a CFO. All right. When you are growing and you're scaling, these executive positions that we are bringing on could be very costly, right? So if you're watching this, if you're looking for a way, right, to share costs, right, and you can have a CFO or share other resource controllers or whatever the case may be, so that those prices, to have the right people on your team, you can share those costs across, for us, 3 different companies instead of one company paying all those, paying the salary for all that.
One of the things that, if you're going down the multifamily office or just partnerships in general, is the alignment. I think is very, very important. So as long as you get the alignment, if you're going to do anything like this, make sure that you and your partner are thinking out, not just next year, but you're thinking out 10 years, 20 years, 30 years into the future before you start, attaching each other at the hip like this. But if you're aligned,
right,
at that, that level, core values, goals, aspirations, all those things are aligned, then you can get into like, all right, well, you bring your org chart, I'll bring my org chart, and we're going to find some redundancies. And the CFO was the lowest hanging fruit for our company, and that's why we attacked that one first. But there was like a handful of other ones that we can easily just start bolting on, where one highly qualified person that might be straining the budget a little bit to hire them for one company, but you split them across 3, 4, 5 different companies that we own, and it's like, wow, this is actually doable. I can elevate our quality of life, the access to things that we have, by splitting the costs across 2 different
right,
enterprises.
Right. And we got so much, we haven't did a podcast in a while. We got so much to talk about. And I want to switch the topic right now, especially in the real estate game. All right. We know that the game has changed. All right. Multifamily, commercial retail, whereas it's office space or whatever the case may be, we're seeing it, especially here in 2025. And we all know that the rates have shot up, and we working and hoping that those rates go down. But there's a lot of people, right? There's a lot of people that's been affected by interest rates. And, I don't see them a lot. It was on social media. There's been a lot of kind of quiet. And I'm pretty sure they probably having some troubles doing a lot. We're hearing there's a lot of capital calls currently happening. There's we're buying properties 30%, 40% from when it last traded. We are been able to, we're getting ready to close on our largest asset. We got to close. In fact, I got the paperwork over here. And just signed, it was a $35 million deal where it traded from last year or 2 years ago, and we picking it up for about $28 million. So what is going on? Let's talk to the listeners. What are some things that I noticed, some of the things that we're doing, like lower LTV and things like that, but someone is watching this right now. What are some things that they should do that is looking to get into multifamily or already in multifamily? And what are some things that we're doing that they can implement in their business plan?
Before I answer that, I'll start with like that one famous quote of like, buy when there's blood in the streets, or whatever that one quote is.
Yeah.
I think that's where we're at right now. There's a lot of people worried. There's a lot of macroeconomic and global economic strife and uncertainties going out, and we see the markets, gold and silver prices spiking, Bitcoin super volatile, stock market super volatile right now. So there's a lot of uncertainty. I think we're in uncharted territories, and I think that's causing a lot of people to sit on the sidelines. For us and our thesis, which I'll explain here in a minute, is we're buying because we've been through a couple market cycles now, and we've been waiting for something like this, and now we're looking at deals that we weren't even at the table a couple years ago because we couldn't bid high enough, and now we're the only one at the table on some of these deals. So what I see is the last couple years, 2023, 2024 has been brutal for commercial real estate investors. Interest rates, like you said, have shot up. Everybody's saying that, hey, they can't stay this high for this long, but they did. So the people that currently had real estate that their loans were coming due kind of fell into a couple different buckets. One is they were able to bail themselves out by doing a refinance or something like that, do cash in refinance and extend their terms out, or sell because they had enough equity that they could sell and get out. There's ones that were able to do like a forbearance or some kind of workout plan with the lender and extend their loan out for a couple of years and say, hey, it's not a good time, and the banks were willing to extend out, right? And then there's the ones that kind of what we're seeing now is the banks are done doing that. They've tried to hold out. They've burned through all their capital, and now their loans are ballooning, and they don't have the equity because where they paid for, prices are down, like you said, like 20, 30%, sometimes 40% under where they paid in 2021, 2022 for these assets. So they can't hold out anymore. And those are the ones that are fire sailing right now.
Yeah, and that's what we're seeing, right?
Yeah, so that's what we've been seeing for the last 2 years. The problem is that the interest rates have been so high, the cost of our capital has been so high,
right,
that we, even with them selling at a distressed state, we were still too far apart to make a deal happen.
Right.
Going into like the second half of 2025, the Fed pivot, now rates are 150 basis points under where they were a year ago. So now we can go up and we can actually bid on some of these deals. And my thesis on this is that there's going to be a short window here where there's still going to be enough distressed sellers that you can go in and grab really good product right now.
Right.
And your interest rates are going to be the 4 or 5%. And you can get in there, lock in an awesome cost basis where in 3, 4, 5 years from now, you're going to be so glad that you grabbed a couple of these deals. So that's what we're going for.
Yep, and we're doing that, and we're seeing it. And those of you that's currently, again, y'all tune in, or maybe you had that capital call where you're LP with somebody else deals, or if you're a GP. The biggest thing that we're focused on always have been to make sure we never ever over leverage. And I'm a real big believer in just doing so. Yes, it costs you a little bit more capital to raise. In fact, from December when we closed Lakeside, which was a $30 million deal and a $12 million deal inside August, and this deal, you're talking about almost adding, almost $100 million almost of value to our portfolio, but the capital raise was $30 million. And a lot of people say, oh, investors on the sideline. No, investors not on the sideline. Investors, you just got to go out and find more investors, and because investors also know, the good investors know that these times are rare. The last time we have been in a market like the market that we're currently in was 2008. So, it's 2008 and we're in 2025. And that's the last time we seen in multifamily when we have prices, 30, 35, 40% fire sales that are happening. And we're getting ahead. And I believe, like you said, who the ones that are on the sideline, picking up all this blood in the street, they're going to be in a very, very good place here, I think, in the next, 18 to 24 months when the rates come back down, which we know that they are starting to come down, and then it's just going to be great. But which remind me to, let's just talk about how someone can really position themselves, because we always talk about, I would tell people, just take you one good deal. Yep. One good deal. How can one good deal change someone's life, their family life? You want to give an example of that, or you want to talk about that a little?
Well, I can talk about my story, and then but I did want to hit on something that you said about the savvy investors are out buying right now, and we've seen it in our own deals. Like you said, we've done 3 deals in the last 12 months, and some of the newer investors are a lot more skittish right now because they're looking at the markets and everything like that. While the savvier, more wealthy investors we have, they're like doubling down, tripling down. They're writing the biggest checks we've ever seen in the last year because they know that
family offices,
the family offices, and our other bigger investors, like they're writing bigger checks because they know that real estate, U.S. real estate is one of the best safe haven assets that ever existed. So it's very interesting to see what the savvy investors are doing.
And not only that, the savvy investors also, what got passed in July?
Oh, the 100%
bonus depreciation came back.
Yep.
So now not only they getting a discount, it's like the perfect storm, honestly, right? You got 100%, a president that brought back 100% bonus depreciation, and you have real estate about 30% down. When we was in the market, when we came in the market, C-class asset was costing us about $150,000 per door. Per door. Right now, we're seeing those assets $80,000, $70,000. You might see some 100, 110 max.
Yep.
Right now. So, but yeah, go ahead with how that one deal, great deal, that these deals that we're talking about, like right now, if you can get one deal, it can change your life.
And I'll tell my kind of hero story on this is I started real estate investing in 2013, single family flip. 2016, I started buying multifamily, but all I knew at the time was duplexes and fourplexes. So I started buying, duplex here, fourplex here, got up to 20 units all by myself. And I was like, I was active duty. So I was like the biggest thing in the unit, like, holy crap, Vince, he's got 20 units. That's insane. And at the time I was like, oh, this is crazy. And then I started seeing these other guys, they were buying apartment buildings. And this is, so we're talking 2017, 2018. I'm like, how are these guys buying apartment buildings? Like, that's not in the books I read. That's not in the, the online forums. Like, what are these guys doing? So then I found, I started looking around. I was like, I need mentorship. That's what you're not going to get from a book or, something like that, or YouTube at the time. It was like, I need mentorship on how to get into these commercial assets. I know, we're up here talking 10, 20, $30 million deals. And a lot of people listening are like, that's so far out of the realm, from what's possible for me. But let me tell you, 2018, I had 20 units and there were single families and duplexes. And now here we are, 2025, buying $30 million assets. So it is absolutely possible for anyone to build this. But, that first deal in 2018, I went out and got mentorship because I was like, there's another level to this game. I need to figure it out. So I went, got mentorship, got coaching. 2018, I bought my first apartment building. It was a 52 unit in a not so great town called Saginaw, Michigan. I was stationed in Hawaii at the time. So it was 3,000 miles away in a C-class area, but that's where I could get in. That's what I could afford. I got 3 other people I knew from Hawaii, local meetups, and that was the start of Tri-City Equity Group. And that was only 2018. So that one deal, we paid $1.4 million for it. I flipped it in about 18 months or so, 2 years maybe, for about $2.5 million. And that was the start of Tri-City Equity Group. And we're well over $150 million now, just, whatever we are 7 years later.
And that's the power. That is the power. And just again, if you're watching this, you're like, man, y'all guys talking about multifamily. Even you're going to start, one deal at a time. Just think of one deal at a time. It's just been unbelievable, man. Just the growth, and we talking about not just growing, but we talking about scaling, scaling our businesses, scaling real estate. And we just had our quarter meeting just about last month. We came out here in Dallas and had a meeting. And our plan was like, hey, we're focused on $1 billion. And we want to hit $1 billion of assets, real estate and business assets within the next 7 years to 10 years. And we're going to do it. That's why we ensuring, like, let's just talk about, like, because I know, like you say, they watching this, like, oh my God, like these guys are 100 million, 200 million, billion. But you got to understand, you and I, we came from nothing. We came, started with one. My first property was a $12,000 property. And, went from $12,000 property to a $40,000 property to $100,000 to a $150,000 property to where we at now that we are buying $30+ million assets. But when we talking about growing and scaling, getting to the $1 billion, what are some of the things that, we want to discuss here, like vertical integration? I was just on a call with a sourcing company out in China, going direct, getting supplies, not just for the multifamily side, but also for our business as we continue to, scale the Treasure Studios franchise that we have. What are other things that we're doing that someone that's watching this can implement, right, in their business when it's time for them to scale, and if they're trying to get to 100, because we have learned a lot, over these past 7 years. That we've been business partners together. But you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, going to the new plan, road to $1 billion. That's intimidating, but I know we can do it. We got the right core team, and looking back at the different stages that we went through, a lot of it was just focusing on balancing between working in the business at first. So you got to work in the business while you work on it, because you got to know how the business works. So get in there, get your hand dirty, get in the trenches, figure out what makes this business work. And then that way, do that for a little bit of time, and then you can start stepping back and replacing yourself with higher talent, good talent in there, build those systems and processes out. Don't rush it. A lot of people, especially multifamily, they try rushing it. They try scaling too fast, and they end up crashing and burning because they don't have that infrastructure in place. So even in our company, we have to, we start scaling, buying, and then we have to like, hey, take a step back and evaluate our systems, the people on our teams, and be like, all right, do we have the right people in the right seats? Are we doing things smart? And a lot of people, they get so focused on the growth that they're not really focusing on building, the business so it can handle the growth. So I think that's something that we're doing, and we've done this probably 3 times now since 2018, where we've had a big push up in growth, and then we have to kind of take a step back, look around, evaluate, prune some stuff here or there, and get more lean, and start changing systems, and then make them.
And even just sometimes you're gonna also outgrow people on your team. Yep. There's nothing wrong with that, right? It's nothing wrong with that. But one of the things that you mentioned I want to hit on is, that is, I call it it's the art of anything. It's the hardest part for any entrepreneurs. If you watch the hardest part for entrepreneurs is to go from working in the business and being able to figure out how can you go from working in the business and go working on the business. And most of us, we wear multiple hats. You got your CEO hat, or you got your COO hat, a marketing hat on, or you wearing just different hats. But you got to understand how to implement systems, processes, and you gotta, it's crazy how many people are always asking me like, D, man, like, how do you do it? You know what I'm saying? We both come from structure from the military, right? So I'm really, I like structure. I love organization. And I feel like that, and I always tell people, if the generals can go around and fight wars, and they can be right there in Kuwait or right in Hawaii and controlling the whole battlefield, there's no reason that we can't run our business the same way. And that's how we run our business. That's how we implement things. But yeah, it's an exciting time, and we're learning and we're growing, and we're putting these systems and processes in place as we continue to scale. Because it's like a bookshelf. And I tell people every time I do a business, I just try to figure out, I treat every project as is my first project. All right, I never feel like that, I just got this. It's nothing for me to learn. Now I'm like, what can I do to make it better? How can I save costs? How can I reduce my expenses so that my profit margin can increase, where there's business and real estate?
Mm-hmm. One of the things that you were saying that, what separates, some of the stuff that we're doing from other people is because I know a lot of people that are really smarter than me. And they don't have the success that we've had or the traction we've had. And I go back and I think about that often. I was like, all right, what sets, D apart? What sets Vince apart? And I think it goes down to the accountability and the execution. People have a really hard time holding themselves and other people accountable. And I think it's getting worse. We see it all the time with our third-party property managers and my my employees and stuff like that. And other companies, it's like, the culture thing has shifted. I don't know what it is in the water or something like that, but in the last 5-10 years, or whatever, it's like the accountability of just being able to hold yourself accountable to things that need to get done is plummeted. So when you find somebody that can hold themselves accountable and can execute, I would build a cocoon around that person, right, and build a team around them and make sure that they have the support, because that is a fleeting characteristic of people I see is a lot of people talk about, people don't work like they used to. And I'm like, yeah, maybe. But to me, it's that integrity and accountability is like, a unicorn these days, to find people that still have that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's switch and let's talk a little bit about, just investors' opportunity. Mm-hmm. I think you launch your own investor club. Yep. I know we are continuing to bring in investors, and I'm just, if you're watching this, you probably was like me when I got into raising capital, right? You're talking about raising capital to be able to fund your deals where you're trying to do multifamily apartments, or, you're trying to scale a business or whatever. It took me a very long time for me until I was comfortable with, taking investors' capital. But now, we done fast forward, and, we have a responsibility to make sure we taking good, doing everything correct with our investors, and taking care of them, all right, and they're and trying to increase their capital or their investments. What are some things that what make our deals attractive, I want to talk about that because that's one of the things, we were talking to Jim. He said, D, man, we don't talk about that, how great of returns, as great as operators that we're doing as well. But let's just talk about some of the returns and things that we have been able to provide we went, full cycle, 8 deals total. With a couple more, that we got in the oven ready to take out here, hopefully within the next 12 months. You want to talk about some of those?
Yeah. I can talk about Tri-City's track record. So we're going on our 20th deal as a team. So not total. Total it's way more because then we each run our own individual deals as well. But 20 deals as a team for Tri-City Equity Group. 8 of those have gone full cycle. I don't know where we're at right now, but north of 150 million assets under management. Full vertically integration, which means we have in-house property management here in Dallas, and we only focus on Dallas. I'm here. John, the president of the property management company, is here, and so we're in the market, and we only focus on one market. We're going a mile deep in Dallas, and I think that was a pivotal change that we made in the end of 2022, was to pretty much sell everything that is not Dallas-Fort Worth. And not saying Dallas-Fort Worth is the best market there ever was, but it's the best market for us and what we wanted and what we look for returns. So we stopped splitting our focus and we're going to sell everything, all these other states that we're in, and we're going to go all in on Texas. We're going to go all in on Dallas-Fort Worth, and we're going to go vertically integrated, and we're going to take control of the entire process from cradle to grave as much as possible that we can do. And as far as like raising capital, if you're listening, you're, like, oh, well, it's easy for you guys. You have, 20 deals under your belt and all this stuff. Well, we had to start from scratch too. And I would say, I have a little bit of a contrarian view on this because there's a lot of people out there coaching to, teach you how to syndicate right out the gate. And I do not like that at all. This game, multifamily is a business. And a lot of people don't teach it as a business, but you're starting a business just like any other business, and you need to think about it as such, build your systems and processes, your teams, and operate it as a business because that's what you're building. So when it comes to raising capital, I think you should do maybe a deal on your own, maybe a deal with 1 or 2 partners as what we call a joint venture first. Even if it's a small property, even if it's a 10 unit or a 15 unit, 20 unit, buy something small, figure out how to build your business, figure out what you like doing, what you don't like doing. Make sure you got the right people on your team because you'd be surprised at people that talk a big game and they say they can do this and that, and then you get it, a deal together and they can't perform or they don't actually have the time to devote like they said they did. So do that stuff on a small property where the downside risk is not, that big. And then after you get 1 or 2 deals, then you can start scaling and start doing syndications and all those things.
You definitely want to do a JV, and I talk about it like all the time. I'm saying, when you building your teams, and as we know that 70% of partnerships fail. 70%. That's it is. 70% of partnerships fail. So when I like D, like how you choose to come on your team, I'm like, yo, you're gonna come on my team. I'm gonna give you your opportunity. All right. But I'm gonna see because I'm gonna put pressure on you. I'm gonna put so much work on you. I wanna see how you perform under pressure. I want to see how you perform. And if we got to get up 6 o'clock, have meetings, and you there for the first, 2 months, and then I'm starting to see you, not making the meetings, coming in late, whatever the case may be, that's not a partnership that I want to be in long term. All right. You want people that's going to be grinding and doing a JV or joint venture will give you the opportunity to see all those things because you're probably going to be in that JV from anywhere from 2 to 5 years. All right, depending on the cycle or whatever the business plan is set for y'all to exit that property. But yeah, wearing different hats and having JV. But if you watching this, we're just talking about syndicators and raising capital because before I was a general partner, I was too a LP. I was young. I was LP, and like man, this whole multifamily world, couldn't understand the terminology and all those things like that. But it's one thing that I have. I realize, all right, and this right here is kind of like my check as far as how do I know if I'm getting a good deal? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, a lot of this underwriting is based off a lot of assumptions. We're assuming we're going to get this. We're going to assume the rates, or we're going to assume the exit and the rent going to increase. So there's a lot of assumptions, right, that goes into these. Hey, what is the multiple? What are the returns I'm going to get, and all those things like that. And obviously, we want to hit those returns, right? But I always tell people, if you're watching this, and maybe you're watching this because you're like, you know what? Maybe I don't want to do that, but I want to become a limited partner. I want to have ownership. I want to get the depreciation. I want to get the tax benefits and all those things that comes with it. And I like to be an LP and not to be so active. If you are that person and you looking and you're looking at different sponsorship teams, I tell people it's two things that I look for. All right. Who are they? What are their values? All right. Who are they as individual person, and what are their track record? All right. Those two things right there goes a long ways. All right. Because you're going to get in here and start talking about, hey, we're going to be target this multiple or internal rate of return. But if you take those two right there that I told you, who are they? What are their principles? What are their values? And then what have they done in the past? And with what teams have they done it with? So, those are some of the things as we continue to grow and scale. And if you're looking and you're watching and you want to, look at our track record, look at us, you can go to Vince's website, you come www.therombethay.com, and you see all, we have everything posted there on our websites too as well.
One of the things that I see a lot of LPs make, the limited partners or just the passive investors, and there's nothing wrong with being a passive. A lot of people that in multifamily, like, oh, I need to be the operator, I need to be the KP, and then they get into that seat and realize, that it's not for them. So there's nothing wrong with being an LP. Like, do what you're passionate about. It's a high net worth, high income earner job, or something you're really passionate about, and then put money aside in those LP positions, start stacking them up on the conveyor belt, as we call it. That is a great plan to do. But, a lot of people, when they start getting into evaluating investment opportunities as a limited partner, they focus way too much on those assumptions, on those pro formas. And I've even had a conversation. This is how crazy it is. I had a conversation last week that I had an investor, prospective investor, put our deal through ChatGPT or some AI with another deal, and ChatGPT said, "Oh, well, the other deal is better." And I was like, I went back and like, does ChatGPT or whoever does that evaluate the team that's responsible for executing those assumptions?
Right.
I'm like, would it make you feel better if I increase the rents on my pro forma for $100?
Oh wow!
Like, would ChatGPT see my deal is better then?
Wow.
I'm like, these are just numbers
Right.
On a spreadsheet, but some team is responsible for execution of that, and that's what you need to figure out is how does that team actually execute? Because anybody can plug numbers into a spreadsheet from behind a computer screen and make any deal look great, but the team has to execute it, and that's what you need to evaluate if you're going to go into a limited partner position.
Right. Now that's all great, and then what? Let's go to another conversation I want to talk about is the business side. We both are real estate professionals. We love real estate, and both of our portfolios, we have more real estate than we have business asset because obviously we buying these assets, 10, 20, $30 million. But let's talk a little bit about the business. We talked about the conveyor belt with increasing cash flow. What are some of the things in your company that you are working on? How's that going? Where do you see your company within the next 2 to 3 years? And then I'll let you go in, and I'll let you know what we're working on too as well.
Talking about service
companies, yes.
Yeah, so I have three kind of spheres of influence for the listeners that don't know what I got going on. So I have the Tri-City Equity Group, which is our main multifamily equity company. And then I have my home service companies. So we're talking like flooring, insulation, things like that. And then the other sphere is my community, the Wheelbarrow Profits Titans community. So inside the service-based companies, we're looking to scale those up. And it's a completely different world compared to the multifamily. But we're looking to scale those up. And, we're focusing on reintegrating traction. So this is the thing, if anybody doesn't know EOS, Traction, Rocket Fuel by Gino Wickman, absolutely phenomenal course on how to build and scale businesses and run them efficiently. It's probably the lowest hanging fruit. If you have a business and you're listening to this, that is the lowest hanging fruit that you can take to make your business
Right.
better tomorrow.
Yep.
So what I've noticed is a lot of people, they'll start doing traction and then it kind of falls off, and then you gotta give them a booster shot, and
Right.
and so
Bring
that's
them
where I'm
back in.
focusing on. Because there's turnover, right? And I gotta remember, hey, these new people, they're not adopted into traction. So right now, going into Q4 of 2025, heading into 2026, I'm looking forward to 2026, and I want anywhere from a 30 to 40% revenue growth on those three companies in this home services in 2026. And the only way I'm going to get there is to hire the A players in the right seats and get traction more ingrained. Right now, I'm probably doing it at, if I was honest, maybe 30, 40% of the actual implementation of it. And I want to get that up to like 80%, of implementing that.
Yeah, and then once you go to 80, and then you get to 80, get to 100, and if you implement in traction, you're going to hit your targets. You know what I mean? Like whatever targets you got out there, as long as you implement it, and like you said, surrounding yourself with A players. That's super important. We don't got time with B players, C players. We want straight A players on our team to make sure we make it happen. And what we're focusing on, just like Vince, we have Bands of Brothers Investment Group, which focus on the franchises. We got fitness franchises. We have, and we just now launched Treasure Studios, which I'm super excited because, there's 7 types of income. And of those 7 types of incomes that are out there, one of those are royalties. That's the one that I've been missing. So instead of us being a franchisee, we switched the game up. We create our own salon suite model called Treasure Studios, where we are launching those. We just opened up the first location back in June. It's just sitting here right now. Just got a new application, so we're like 92% occupancy as today with this new applicant. But we were able to be almost 100%. We will be 100%. I would say by the end of the month, beginning of next month, and we are currently looking at growing and scaling, and we're planning to open up 5 more locations. So 5 more locations within the next 12 months, or to what's the goal will be the end of 2026. That's a 500% increase. That we're trying to do, because we're trying to bring on just as, it'll be actually more, because we're looking at bigger facilities where this first location is 4,700, and we're looking to be around an average of 5,500 square foot. So we're super excited at that. But what's really getting me excited is that I'm in a great position in my life where that I have been able to, financially free, right? Like true financial freedom. My logo, or my slogan is roll to 100 streams of income. And we currently, me and my wife, has over 80. We literally probably somewhere around 84, 85 streams of income. And God blessed me that most of those streams of income, almost all of them, except for maybe like 2, and just being straight up, like, it's not doing as well. I got like 2 out of 80 some streams, right? But when you got so many income, so much cash flow coming in, it helps you and puts you in a position where that you are able to grow and scale at a faster pace. And that's what I'm excited for is, I'm thinking about the family office when, hey, what's the next liquidity event? What is my next target? Well, my next target is a 9-figure payday is what I'm focused on. And I would like to see that happen within the next 5 to 7 years, because I understand how typically what will happen. We'll grow, we'll scale, we'll prove the model, and we'll present I'm pretty sure we always got private equities. I get emails all the time from private equity groups that want to buy something that we own or I own. And, we're going to be positioned very well. Us too really will be positioned because we are implementing traction. We are, running our books really clean, and making sure we, like, in my head, I'm already thinking about something that's going to happen in 7 years, and I'm backwards planning on how we're going to get there. And we know that most private equity, once y'all come up with a deal, they're going to keep you working in the business for additional 2 years when you're trying to do your earn out period or whatever the case may be. So that's what we're excited. I'm excited with that. We are excited with things that we're doing out in Dubai. Mm-hmm. That's another market that we've been really focused and been investing in Dubai. We got a mastermind in Dubai, December 9th through the 12th. That'll be our second event, me and you and a couple of our partners we own in Dubai as well. So I'm really excited with everything that's going on. Not just, and we want you to invest. We want you to invest. You don't have to just invest in the U.S. There's a lot of things, a lot of different things that are places that are great market that you can really focus on and grow. And that's what we're doing. So with our company, we focus heavily on Hawaii and right here in Dallas, multifamily, and Dubai, we buying luxury condos. All right, I want you to come out and join us in Dubai, December 9th through the 12th. We're going to be giving you the tools and resources that you need and tell you why you should be investing international. It's some great opportunities. I'm going to come out. We're going to be with Denise, the broker. We're going to be co-hosting this. And I see you. If you got questions, come join us. We'll love to have you in Dubai where you too can own real estate international. If I can do it, you can do it too.
One of the things, somebody listening to this, and if they haven't done a deal yet, or if they maybe got a couple deals and they're trying to scale, and it's just like, oh crap, they got franchises in Dubai, luxury properties in Dubai, and it's like heads kind of exploding. The way I think about it in the simplest terms is like I got this ecosystem that the foundation of everything is multifamily real estate. Like everything in my companies all flow to more multifamily, more doors, more equity, more ownership in multifamily. That's where all roads lead for me and my company. The way I look about, if I'm going to add another business or not, I think about it as like horizontally inside my ecosystem of, things I have. What could I add another company, another stream of revenue that is complementary to multifamily in some fashion? I got my multifamily company. Well, a multifamily investment community is complementary. I got my multifamily. Buying a flooring company is complementary. So that is how I am building my ecosystem. Is I'm looking at my multifamily company, Tri-City Equity Group, and I'm going down of all the things that we touch. Is it title companies, insurance companies? Is it construction type companies? Is it investor and networking type companies? All of these things that we touch inside of the multifamily commercial real estate space, I'm looking at which ones are smart right now or in the next 12, 24, 36 months that I can add on another company to complement my multifamily, either reduce costs for multifamily or create, again, a horizontal stream of income off of that multifamily enterprise that we are building. So if you're listening to this and you're trying to scale and you just got a whole bunch of stuff dropped on your head, but all these things we're doing, to simple it out like that's how I'm looking at it. Is I have this ecosystem that's rooted in multifamily, and I'm just going down the list of like, what can I add, the next year or two, that's a horizontal stream of income that is complementary to my multifamily, and that's a good way to think about it.
Yeah, and it's a lot of people too now with the tariffs and a lot of things going on. Right before this call, I was on a meeting with a sourcing company. This female, she's from the U.S. She's been there in China, been living in China for 7 years. And, we're about to go, cutting out the middleman, going straight to the source. And I'm really excited because that's going to be some great content and great information to help people like go through that whole process. She was just telling me like, hey, D, man, like you need to start working on your visa right now. You like when you get the channel, it's like a black hole. Like you got to get the SIMs cards, your phone's not going to work. Everything's going to be completely off. And so it takes you a few months to prep before you even get to China because it's like you got to know how to navigate the whole economy because of the fact that, it's like she said, it's a black hole. So I've been living here for 7 years, but we're going there where that, she's going to be able, what we're talking and discussing, like, hey, this is what we got. I have all these multifamily doors that we own. And then I have these franchises that we are building. And I'm trying to figure out like, how do we save costs, because even though we save costs, we save those costs and we pass those back down to our investors, so that there's only two ways to increase your profit margins, and that's to increase revenue and decrease your expenses. And if I can get my bill out down, or we get cheaper material, appliance, washer, dryers, whatever the case we need for our multifamily assets, that's going to give us a better another edge up on our competitors or whoever. So that's what we're excited. That's what I'm excited about. I'm always trying to figure out how do we increase these margins? How can we get better returns to our investors? Like, I tell people like, yo, my name is on it, all right? My name is on. When you see but they and my last name, I don't play about that. And I want to make sure that everything that we're doing, is for the betterment of the whole entire community, the community that I serve, the people that are listening and watching, the people that have seen us as these years, as we have grown together as a team, as we continue to grow, and we're going to continue to do these on these podcasts as we continue to grow and scale. We call the road to $1 billion. $1 billion. That's where we're going to get to, and that's and like he said, and we want to get there so we can pass these assets down the right way. All right, to our generation. All right, that Gen 2. We're speaking of that. We always talk about making money, and I always say people talk about making money, but they don't tell you how to protect it, and that's one of some of the stuff that we're doing these irrevocable trusts. And as we do these podcasts, we'll do a podcast because I'm going through that whole process with going from a revocable trust to an irrevocable trust. Mm-hmm. So those are some of the things that I know we work in. I would love to us talk about that, and also talk about family, because that's the other piece. What are we doing? I know like we're getting ready to go to Cabo, mm-hmm. Mexico. I know I got a trip planned to Thailand, but let's just talk about that a little bit before we wrap up. Is about family, work-life balance. I know we both have a calendar that we just focus so hard on, and we don't deviate. If it's not on our calendar, we don't mess with. But if it's on our calendar, we're gonna make sure we hit it. And a lot of people get mad at me, or they don't think they get mad at me. Like, D, what you mean? Like, you put your kids on your calendar? Like, absolutely. I want to make sure I'm at my kids' soccer games, and my son, he also plays soccer. He playing golf, and all these things I want to be a part of, and I just got to make time and force time there.
Yeah, going back to when we were talking about, at the beginning about the family office, and having these preconceived notions of like, oh, the family office, and it's all like, sweaters and all this stuff, and or whatever it is, like the image that comes to mind when people have a family office of like what type of kind of personalities to interact. But during those meetings, how much time they focused on the education of the family and the kids, and making sure that everything, that lifestyle concierge, everything from security, like international security guards, like making sure the family is protected, the family's educated. They'll do, full on education. They'll bring people in to talk about that stuff. But, as far as like, yeah, you're right on the calendar. Like, everything has to be on my calendar. Cause I don't really believe work-life balance. If you're trying to be an entrepreneur and you got big aspirations,
there's no such thing, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's a work-life balance. And the people that, I've interacted with over the last 10 years since I started being an entrepreneur and chose that life, I've left them in the dust, because they focused on, hey, it's 5 o'clock, my phone turns off, and no meetings on weekends, and I've 10x'd them.
It's not like that you want to not be with your, have that work-life balance. It's the fact that you generation one. We're creating life so it can be easier for the next generation. You know what I mean? And we're not saying we're going to leave our kids with all this money or whatever the case may be. We're just saying we're going to give them a better opportunity, an easier life, to be able to get some of the things that we're doing.
And I think the difference is, from work-life balance is it's an integration. Like, my family is part of
the business.
My business. My daughter's right here off screen, doing her homework, listening to this, and we're gonna go, tour some of our properties right after this, right? So it's an integration of the family into the business.
Absolutely.
Both for time-wise, so you get more time with them, but also so they can see what the family business is, and at
an early age,
and they get exposed to it, and they're gonna see, what it takes to run these companies and the decisions we make. And I open freely talk about money, hiring people, firing people, building teams, pruning teams, like all of our business dealings. Like, I talk to them about it. I want them to know and be comfortable and not have this taboo relationship with money,
Right.
that they grow up and they don't know how to manage their own money or anything like that, or something like that. So I'm my family is integrated into all of my businesses.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's how it's supposed to be. And as far as obviously we do all this work and we do all this. What do you like? Like, I don't think both of us spend money. Like, I don't think, like, we don't got no fancy cars. And what is some of the things right now that you say, you know what, maybe in a couple of years, this right here. I know we was talking about watches the other day, like buying like nice watches to and using those watches to as a symbol of like, hey man, we just closing our largest deal. Well, we buying an asset that we can pass off to the next generation, or whoever that is, however you want to set that up. But what are some of the things that you're looking forward to as you right now you're grinding, you're not getting the guys that has the work-life balance, what I'm saying? You're missing that part. But what are some things that you want to do take for you and your family, or for events, or what does that looks like, here in the next few years as we sell off and continue to grow the company?
Yeah, not really materialistic. Yeah, I got some cool stuff, but you get to a point like when you hit that early success and you start, I can finally afford that,
and don't want
that car. I can finally afford that thing, and then it's very fleeting. Feeling that you get that dopamine dump of like, I made it. I got the Porsche, I got the whatever, and then after that it doesn't really fulfill you, and then it's an expense too. Like you gotta like maintain this thing and stuff like that, and so like having the cool stuff, it is good, especially if it's something that you want to like, hey, I worked my ass off for this one deal and I accomplished it, so I'm gonna go buy that that Rolex Daytona and wear it proudly because of the effort it took to do that deal. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying materialistic is bad. Like, I got cool stuff. It just doesn't fulfill me. The way that I thought it would.
I thought it would.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like even like I always wanted a Ferrari. I always wanted a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. And then when I get the chance to get one, I was like, I just scratched my head. I was like, man, all right, that's $700,000-$800,000. I can put that money over here, and I find myself just keep on taking my money and continue to reinvest it. Now we do know that we do buy, assets to pay for these liabilities, like these cars. I go spend $700,000-$800,000, going to drop the value, going to drop $150,000 as soon as I pull it off the gate. But I can go buy an apartment, right, and take the apartment, take the cash flow from the apartment, and pay off the Ferrari, and I can write the Ferrari off. I can put it in the business. I can use it for content. I can do those things like that. But I think right now in my head, I'm like, I know I got a number in my head that I want to hit. But I'm just right now, I just got my head down, just focusing, growing, scaling. But I do look forward to some of those services they talk about, like, hey, you can plan this and have this person over here and have this, have all those things.
Like I think the travel and the peace of mind. When we hit our goals, like, hey, I can, hop on a plane and travel anywhere in the world, and like I don't have to ask anybody permission. I don't have to tell anybody. I don't have to, do anything. I think that's a level of freedom that I'm looking forward to, and it's not really materialistic. It's just like I can do. What I want, where I want, with who I want, whenever I want. It's a level of freedom that I'm looking for.
Yeah. And that's my wife. She's like, when we retired from the military, she like, I just want to travel and just being able to get her that, and a lot of people always say, man, you stay gone. I'm like, man, I promised my wife, that's the only thing that she asked for. She didn't ask for no Gucci bags or none of that crazy stuff. She just liked to travel and go see the world, and that's what we're doing. And we look forward to, we got some trips coming up next month. We'll be in Thailand, we'll be in Dubai, and now I'm looking going in China here soon too as well, as we continue to grow and scale.
Do you think you'll ever stop?
I always said I was, but too many people say you'll never stop, because you'll continue to the deals will get easier, and we're going to be able to choose which deals we want to do.
Yeah, the ability to say no.
Yeah, the ability to say no. So, for,
it's like, nah, we don't need that one.
Yeah,
or I don't feel like it right now.
Yeah, I can, at that time I say, hey, listen, for to do this deal, hey, hey, I'll do this deal with you, and because I do this deal, that's only 2 hours of my time a week. Yep. Or I think that would slow down, but I don't think it'll stop completely. No,
I think I'm very much addicted to the art of the deal.
Yeah,
and even if it's a small deal or any deal, big deals are better because I like solving big problems.
Yeah,
but even out of the the financial gain out of it, I really just like the art of the deal.
Yes,
it's a very addicting
it's adrenaline, ain't it? It's adrenaline to figure out like what's the problem, what's the issue, what we got to solve, and then we just come together, or like let's work this through. It's just a problem, it's an issue, and we're gonna figure this out. There's a way to get the deal done. We're gonna figure that out, and the more complex the deal is, the more adrenaline I think we get. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, we was able to solve this problem. And I think one of the things that we talked about, we both your company and Bands of Brothers and Tri-City, we're doing so many deals. And then between those three companies, I know we transact in every single month, something. Every month there's transactions that are happening. So many transactions that happen that I was like, yo, man, we got to figure out, take some time off, or start celebrating, because it is a great success, and I just look forward to continuing to grow and scale.
No, absolutely, and we got to, with that lifestyle concierge, they can plug that into our calendars of like that way we don't even got to think about it. They're just like, hey, we blocked this off, you got your trip planned.
Absolutely,
that's pretty
exciting. So hey, I want to do 3 or 4 trips a year. Yep. And they know, like, hey, I got to plan 3 or 4 trips. You don't got to worry about nothing. All your tickets, your itinerary, the shelf, the transportation. I don't want to touch no baggage. Yeah. All those things. Like that's what we're going to get to. And it's like really just just like the president. He has all the generals in the military. Mm-hmm. They have all those services. They got a shelf. They got drivers. They got all these things. And that's what we're doing. I think is next for us, and there's nothing wrong with that. We just talking like, if we can do it, me and Vince, anyone can do it. All right, we both come from humble beginnings, and we left, and we just trying to do better, and also be a good leader, a good role model. We both have our own communities. I have the DB community, and you want to talk about your community too as well? Yeah,
we got 2. We have Wheelbarrow Profits, which is the premier multifamily education community. The numbers we put up are crazy to think about. We got $5 billion in assets acquired through the members of this community, over 90,000 units acquired by members of this community, and then recently opened up a higher level tier called Titans. It's strict enrollment. You got to apply. We only let very few people in. When we launched it, over 50 something people applied. We let 20 in. So it's going to be a higher access group of just the sharks, the go-getters, one that just live and breathe what we do.
Yeah. The ones that are going to easily say, yo, we don't got no work-life balance. We grinding.
Yep. They got big goals.
They got big goals, inspiration. Yeah. And if you're watching, make sure you tap in, go check out VinceGethins.com. Also www.DeRonBethea.com. He has his community. I have my community. We focus on multiple streams of income through businesses, and multifamily investments. But we also have a pillar in there that we focus more on how to protect your money with asset protection. How do you pass it? How do you do those things like that? We grind, health, wealth, and all those things. That's where our focus. We're going to wrap this thing up. And we'll see you. We'll be doing these right here. Be pushing these out a couple of times a month as we continue to grow and scale to $1 billion. See you next time.